Hello again everybody, this is Gusto and I have another review today. The ration I'm going to be reviewing today was sent to me generously by the folks over at Combat Rations and was a replacement for the ration that got ruthlessly raided by customs officials. And that ration is the individual combat ration Type 3 of the Armed Forces of the Republic of Croatia. These rations typically come packaged in a dark green outer bag, and that outer bag had been previously opened, and when I first opened this package that they sent to me, I inadvertently misplaced that dark green outer packaging. And this is the inner box, which is a brown cardboard box with all this information on there. It has a best buy date of 1/31/2016, so a little out of date, but that's okay. Again, this is a Menu 3 or Type 3 individual combat ration. The inner box is sealed with tape, and that has not been opened, so let's take a look inside. And there you have it. Comes packaged with all these silver foil packages. Let's take a look at the content. Yeah, that's quite a bit. First of all, this contains 3 packages of these crackers, 85 grams a piece. There's 3 of them. One of them was torn open and there were quite a few crumbs inside the package. That's alright. The other 2 look just fine. Next, there is a package of Pepper and Jack. I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is kind of a spiced pepper biscuit. There's a pouch of dried papaya and a pouch of dried pineapple. This is a beef soup. It contains 2 packages of instant orange drink and 1 package of instant tea, lemon flavored. It contains beans with hamburger. Next, this translates to turkey, and I think this is probably going to be like a luncheon meat, turkey luncheon meat kind of thing. I think this is a pork pate. There's a tin of sardines, a 50-gram chocolate bar, 2 packets of honey, coffee flavored candies, and 3 moist towelettes. So quite a good assortment of food. I'm going to break this up into 3 meals for the purposes of this review. So we'll start with breakfast. Alright, so for breakfast I've chosen some of the biscuits, some honey, the pork pate, the instant tea, coffee candies, and dried pineapple. We'll start off with the biscuits. Again, 85 grams. So this is nice, they come in a little cardboard container. Next, the dried pineapple, 50 grams of that. There is some honey also for the biscuits. There's pate, and I think this is pork, if my translation's right. There you go. Coffee flavored candies. And they come individually wrapped in kind of a wax paper. Next, the instant tea, lemon flavored. It calls for 3 deciliters of water. So there's the powder. It does have a pretty strong lemon scent to it. Add some water. And give it a stir. Now this ration did not come with any plasticware, so we'll use a US MRE spoon for that. So let's get started with the biscuits. There you go. They seem to have a nice grain component to them. They're pretty crisp. Seem to be in pretty good shape. And those crackers are quite dense. They have a really substantial crunch to them. They have a great flavor of whole wheat. Very, very tasty. Next we'll take a look at the pate. And this is a pork pate again, and it seems to be pretty finely ground. very soft. It's not overpowering in scent. Put some of that on a cracker. It's very soft and spreadable. That's actually quite tasty. The texture is very airy and soft, very, very light, mild, savory flavor to it, slightly salty, pretty good overall. Next we'll try some of the honey. Ooh, and it is kind of crystallized, but that's okay. It's just fine to eat that way. Put some of it on a cracker there. There you go. Nice golden color to it. And despite being crystallized, it's actually very delicious. It's a lot stronger than the usual like clover honey that we find over here most often. It's more of a wildflower type honey. Very good. Next, the pineapple pieces, the dried pineapples. So there you go, they're candied dried pineapple. And those are excellent. Very good natural fruit flavor to them. They look like they're coated with sugar, but they're not overwhelmingly sweet actually. They're pretty hard and chewy, but very tasty. Let's try the tea next. There you go. Again, this is a lemon flavored tea. And that's quite good. It's a really strong lemon flavor, so you can't really pick out the tea component to it very well. It is sweetened, so that also makes it harder to taste the tea, but it would be very refreshing to drink. Very good. And lastly, the coffee candies. They come individually wrapped. And those actually have a nice sweet coffee flavor to them. They're somewhat hard but also chewy at the same time. I was expecting them to be like hard candy, but the texture is a little bit chewier than that. Pretty good overall. And that would be a very satisfying breakfast, very filling breakfast, especially with all those biscuits. And we'll move on to lunch. So for lunch I've chosen more biscuits, the turkey loaf, sardines, dried papaya, and an instant orange drink. So let's start with a few of the crackers. Rather than opening a whole separate container, we'll just use more of the ones that we had left over from breakfast. Next we'll check out the sardines, and I'll be honest with you, never had sardines before, so new experience for me. They look to be in oil. Next we'll check out the turkey. I think this is going to be a luncheon meat, but we'll see. Yeah, there you go. And that actually has a much stronger scent than the pate did, but not unpleasant. Next we have papaya. Looks quite similar to the candied pineapple that was in the breakfast. And our drink is instant orange beverage. There you go. Kind of orange granules in there. Smells a lot like Tang. And this one calls for 2 deciliters of water. We'll give that a stir. And we'll get started on lunch. So let's start out with the turkey loaf here. So there you go, it comes pretty well packed in this can. It's harder than the pate, but it's not too firm to scoop out easily, and it looks to be fairly spreadable. We'll put some of that on a cracker. Yeah, it's actually kind of firm, doesn't spread very easily, but that's okay. Has kind of a meaty, salty scent to it. There it is up close. See, it's kind of finely ground. Let's give it a taste. And really, it has more of a scent than it does flavor. It is quite savory, very meaty, and a lot thicker than that pate for sure. It is rather salty, just like you would expect with a luncheon meat, but is not as strong in flavor as some other luncheon meat type products that I've had in these rations. Not bad altogether. Fairly mild flavor. I am expecting something entirely different from the sardines. let's get one of those out. It is packed in oil, as you can see. There you go. Again, a first for me. I've never had sardines before. Let's get one of those out. Oh yeah. There you go. There is a sardine. And that's really not bad at all. It tastes exactly like tuna fish that's packed in oil. It's a lot milder flavor than I was expecting. It's not too salty. It's actually really nice. Actually enjoyed that. Yeah, there you go again. Down the hatch. I was expecting, since these were whole pieces of sardines, to encounter a little bit more bones maybe, but that's not the case at all. Really, it's just the meat of the fish itself, and again, tastes just like tuna packed in oil. We'll wash that down with some of the orange beverage. There you go. It's kind of a yellow color more than orange. It has kind of an artificial citrus scent to it. Yeah, and it's the flavor is kind of an artificial orange flavor to it as well. It's actually almost a little bit fizzy. Not bad, but I think if I tasted it blindfolded I wouldn't describe it as orange, but it'll work. Lastly, the Candied Papaya. There you go. Again, looks a lot like the candied bits of pineapple in the previous segment. And these are quite a bit sweeter than the pineapple. And it does have a natural papaya flavor to it. Very mild, sweet flavor. Those are very tasty as well. So that's the lunch portion. Surprisingly good on the sardines. I think that's probably my favorite part. We'll move on to dinner. And for dinner I have chosen the beans with hamburger, the beef soup, instant orange drink again, some more biscuits and honey, some pepper and jack, and chocolate. First of all, we'll get this heating up. So the main item is beans with hamburger. It's a full 400 gram can of that, so quite a bit of food.
Ew.
So Google translates this to beans with hamburger. That may be a mistranslate. This smells a lot like pork. Really smells like big chunks of bacon, which is very delightful to me. We'll see when we taste it. But that just looks like a big chunk of bacon. Start with the rest of these biscuits. Next we have the pepper and jack, and I hope I'm saying that somewhere close to correct. That's just called an Oklahoma pronunciation. Those look awesome. So this kind of looks like gingerbread. Oh yeah, it smells fantastic. Yeah, there you go. 3 big thick biscuits of pepper and jack. Next we have the instant soup, and since these guys were nice enough to send this to me, we'll make it in their cup. Again, I think this is beef soup. Actually smells like chicken noodle soup. So I'm probably just off with my Google Translate. We'll see. Could be beef and noodle soup. So there you go, just kind of a powder and some tiny noodles in there. This calls for 200 milliliters of hot water. We'll give that a few minutes. Meanwhile, go ahead and mix our drink. And I think it's the same orange as before. Yeah, it's the same stuff. Again, 200 milliliters of water. We have some more honey. We'll see if that's any better. Packaging looks about the same, so it may be crystallized also, and it is. But again, that's just fine. It tastes just completely normal, just a different texture. And if you want to dissolve all those crystals, all you have to do is heat it up in the microwave for a few seconds and they'll go away. Honey's one of those things that actually never goes bad. Next we have a 50 gram bar of dark chocolate. Let's see what kind of state it's in. Ah, looks pretty good. On that side, not too much oxidation. Nice dark chocolate bar. Smells excellent. Looks to be in great shape. And then for the main item, it has heated thoroughly on the stove and smells fantastic. And let's take a closer look at that. So what you see is white beans and kind of a tomato based sauce, and then this really does just look like salt pork or big chunks of bacon. And it smells like ham and bacon, so I think that's what that is. Please somebody translate that word for me. So let's give that a try. Try to get a little bit of everything in here. Get some beans, piece of pork. See, there you go up close. Big chunk of pork. Some beans in there. Look at that. That's just a big chunk of bacon. And that is absolutely outstanding. That is probably the best item I've ever tasted in a ration. Before now was the beans and sausages and the French RCIR. This blows it out of the water. The flavor of the pork is absolutely fantastic. Salty and rich. The sauce that the beans are in, kind of a tomato-based sauce. Very flavorful. The beans have a nice texture. It's a very, very good food item. Let's take a look at some more of that bacon. And there you go. Just looks like a big chunk of salt pork. It's awesome. Alright, as much as I hate to move on from that, let's go to the biscuits and some more of the honey. Again, this is crystallized, but just fine nonetheless. And like I said before, that has a much stronger flavor to it than the typical honey that we get here in the United States. Usually that's just a clover honey. This really has a more of a wildflower honey type flavor. At least that's probably the closest that I've ever tried that tastes like that. It's a very, very good flavor. Next we'll move on to the soup. We'll give it another mix. And I do think this is a beef broth with noodles. Give that a taste. And that is certainly a beef soup. It's not too salty like you get in a lot of instant soup. Pretty good flavor, good beef flavor. We'll try some of the orange drink again before we move on to the sweet stuff. Again, it's kind of yellow, kind of an artificial scent to it. And it is somewhat fizzy, almost tastes mildly carbonated. And for me, the flavor is more like a lemon or grapefruit than orange. Maybe just a hint of orange flavor, but not bad. Let's try the pepper and jack. Again, these are big, thick biscuits. They have a strong, somewhat gingerbread scent to them. There you go. And the guys over at Combat Rations sent me another container of commercially available pepper and jack, and it shows the ingredients there being honey and black pepper, nuts, I think that's nutmeg and cinnamon. So it is a spiced cookie, and it's really, really tasty. That's a great flavor. And lastly, some of the dark chocolate, and this has held up remarkably well. There's no blooming or oxidation on the surface. Really dark chocolate, has a very strong scent to it. And that's a very bold dark chocolate. If I had to guess, it's probably around a 65 or 70% cocoa content. It is lightly sweetened, but it's a very, very good flavor. It's easily as good as the Dutch chocolate or the French chocolate that I've had from Rations. So very, very tasty chocolate. So that concludes the dinner portion of this ration and of the review of the 24-hour individual combat ration type 3 from Croatia. This was an absolutely fantastic ration to review. This dish right here is the best thing that I've tried in a ration so far. Absolutely fantastic. Again, thank you very, very much to the folks over at Combat Rations for sending this to me. Please check out their channel. They reviewed some really fantastic items. As always, thank you to the viewers and subscribers for your support, as well as the folks over at MREinfo.com and in the YouTube ration review community. Y'all have been so supportive, and I could not do this without you. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Please stay tuned, lots more to come. Until next time, we'll see you later. Bye-bye.